Welcome back, everyone. As we continue with the 2026 capital budget, I would like to invite, who am I inviting up here? Capital Project, actually the CFO. Cap Project Prioritization Exercise, and I'd like to invite Corporate Services and Project Delivery and Facilities to present, please. Actually, I'm just going to, one other thing. We have three councillors online, Councillor Allen, Councillor Marcel, and Councillor Cardinal, I believe, is the background of some nice country. Councillor Cardinal, if you have your cameras on for voting purposes, please.
Yeah, Mayor, I'm having technical difficulties at the municipal council chambers in Fort Chippewa, so bear with me if you can.
Yeah, no problem,
Thank you.
Councillor Cardinal. Thanks for the information.
Oh, good morning, Mayor and Council. Day 5, very exciting. For the record, my name is Lori Farquharson, Chief Financial Officer, and with me is Elliot White, Director of the Project Management and Facility Services Department. On January 14th, Director White met with Council for an orientation session on legacy capital projects. During this session, Council was advised on the history and rationale as to why these projects should be defunded or cancelled. The details of the prioritization exercise and recommendations can be found on February 4th Council report. Copies were handed out to you all on Friday, February 6th. There are 6 projects identified for cancellation, resulting in $6,804,017 being released to the Capital Infrastructure Reserve and $25,864,860 being transferred to the Land Acquisition Reserve. 2 projects were identified for defunding, resulting in $154,157 being restricted within the CIR. An additional 13 projects were identified for strategic consideration. The update on these projects can be found on Attachment 2. The following projects have been identified for cancellation. Active Transportation Phase 2. This project had a prior year budget of $1 million with total spend of $653,563. Administration is recommending that the remaining portion of this project scope be cancelled, resulting in $346,437 being returned to the CIR. The East Clearwater Highway pre-design. This legacy project has a budget of $5 million with no spend to date or active plans for this initiative. Administration is recommending that this project be cancelled, resulting in $5 million being returned to the CIR. The Fort Chippewa sidewalk to Dogwood. This project has a budget of $872,000 with no spend to date. Consultation on this subject has been ongoing. Administration is recommending that this project be cancelled, resulting in $872,000 being returned to the CIR. However, I would like to flag that there is a pending motion for this item. Fort Chippewa Water and Sanitary Sewer, there are 2 projects, one for design and one for construction. These projects have a budget of $550,000 with a 2027 to 2031 capital plan of $28,400,000. To date, $740,484 has been spent or is committed for these initiatives. Administration is recommending that these projects be cancelled, resulting in $245,287 being returned to the CIR and $28,400,000 being removed from the 2027 to 2031 capital plan. The funds returned to the CIR will be restricted for a new project to support the raw water intake initiatives in Fort Chippewa. Grayling Terrace Drainage Construction. This project has a budget of $2 million with a spend to date of $1,659,707. There are no active plans for this project. Administration is recommending this project be cancelled, resulting in $340,293 being returned to the CIR. Land Acquisition 2021. This project has a budget of $32,588,425,000 with a spend to date of $6,723,565. It is recommended that this project be cancelled with the remaining funds of $25,864,860 being transferred to the Land Acquisition Reserve, and that would be governed by the CAO bylaw and Council's fiscal responsibility FIN 160. The following projects have been identified for defunding. Columbarium in Conklin and Fort Chipewyan cemeteries. This project has a budget of $200,000 with a spend to date of $93,184. Administration is recommending that the project be defunded, while administration further engages with the community of Fort Chipewyan to assess interest and support for the project. The defunded amount of $106,816 will be restricted in the CIR for this initiative. Rural Egress Roads, Anzac and Janvier design. This project has a prior year budget of $1,916,451 with a spend and commitments to date in the amount of $1,869,110. Administration is recommending this project be defunded until the required advocacy from other levels of government are completed to advance this initiative, resulting in $47,341 being restricted in the CIR for this project. In closing, administration is recommending that the project cancellation, project transfers to Land Acquisition Reserve, and project defunding, as summarized on 2026 Capital Prioritization Summary dated February 4th, 2026, be approved, and that the update provided on selected projects as outlined in the additional information for capital prioritization exercise dated February 4th, 2026, attachment 2, be accepted as information. This concludes our presentation, and we're happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Lori. And thanks for all the work you guys did on this. It's really appreciated by everyone. Does council have any questions? Councillor Boussier?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Through the chair to the presenters, thanks, Lori. And I apologize, I wasn't at the last briefing or exercise when this was discussed. Just two questions. The Grayling Terrace drainage, that's a complete project?
Through the chair, the question, that project would be considered complete. However, I can't say that the scope was completed in what the intent was for. We were intending to address some drainage issues behind Gypsy Place. So the recommendation is to cancel this particular project and move forward with a feasibility study to look at a different approach and come back with a new capital project.
Okay, so best guess, are a few of us going to get more phone calls come April with the same water issues that were happening in prior years?
Through the chair to the question, I hope that the council team does not get the calls. I have reached out to some of the members on Gypsy Place directly. As recent as this month, I explained that we have a plan for this spring melt, and if any issues were to come, we would be ready to address them directly. And then the hopes is to have a plan for future spring melts.
Okay, thank you, Elliot.
Yeah.
The other question is just a land acquisition 2021. Can just educate me on what that project was?
Through the chair to Councillor Boussier, I'm actually not familiar with the history on this. The funds were set aside for purchasing land, and for some reason they ended up on the capital list when the proper accounting treatment would have been to put it into a reserve. So we're just trying to clean up the books as far as where things are sitting. So we're not defunding this, we're just moving the money off of the capital project list and then onto the reserve. And then any purchasing that would be tied to this funding would come back to council within the dollar limits that are identified in the CAO bylaw.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Thank you, Elliot.
Thank you, Councilor Bussier. Councilor Weigel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for the presentation. Looking at the Fort Chippewa Sanitary, when it says that 740 has been spent or committed, does that mean that like we're still paying out invoices on this? What's the committed amount?
Okay, through the chair to the question. So the history of this project is such that we currently have an open PO with a consulting firm. They've completed the design. There's additional funds committed that's associated with their PO. So if we were to cancel this project, we'd work with that consultant, close the PO, and any remaining funds be returned to the CIR.
Okay. And then on there, it says that we've spent 740,000, but we only had a budget of 550,000. So we've overspent already. Like I know there was a total budget of 28 million, but it says up to date, we've only had a budget of 550,000 and we've already spent 740,000. The Fort Chippewa water and sanitary sewer.
Through the chair of the question, I'm going to try my best here, and then I'm going to point at finance here. What we've done here is we've combined a design project and a construction project. So I just want to make sure that we understand that when we hire a consultant, the portion of it is design. It goes to a design project or the design portion, and then there's the construction administration services that is tied to the other projects. So I'm going to pass it to finance. I don't know if they can speak to why the 550 and the 740 is there.
Good morning. Through the chair to the question, the 740,000 that's reflected has been spent and or is committed. So that was for the anticipated portion of consulting services that would pertain to construction. So the 740,000 reflected isn't all spent. Some of it's committed in future year.
So the 28,400,000 that's coming back, we've already taken the $190,000 that's pre-spent out of that?
Through the question, through the chair to the question, it isn't spent. It was for the future to have it allocated and committed so it wouldn't be overspent. If we weren't moving ahead with the construction phase, we would work with the PMO to look to release commitments.
I apologize. And this is my ignorance. I guess I just don't understand. So we've spent 550,000 up to this point. We have a committed amount of 190,000, and that's coming out of construction. I know I'm the problem here. I'm just trying to understand.
Through the chair to the question, I believe the problem is that the 740,000 is actually a future year commitment. We have not overspent. We would be returning $245,287 to the CIR and defunding the balance. It's poorly worded. I take responsibility for that. My apologies.
No, I appreciate that. So we've spent half of the 550. According to you, we're getting half of that back, but then the 740 is a future spend?
740,000 includes commitments that we have a contract for that we had planned to spend in the future.
So, but is it still a future spend? Like that's what's committed?
That is through the chair to the question. Yes, it is a future spend, which we would then, if we are canceling, then we would remove those commitments. Therefore, we have 245,000 being returned to the CIR of the 550.
Are we using the same designer or whatever, like for the raw water? Is that something that we can just transfer over one to the other? Does that make sense?
Through the chair to the question, I can't speak to that exactly in terms of who the designers are, but I wouldn't recommend that treatment of money or budget in terms of transferring over. I
guess what I'm saying is that if they were doing the first project and now we've got a second project that's similar, if we're using the same company in both projects, is that a transferable fund, or do we have to cut the one contract and restart a new one?
Through the chair to the question, we have to go to market for
Oh, gotcha.
new consulting services and construction. So we're starting fresh. So we're taking this money and we're going to put it over onto the other project.
Yeah.
And then we would be going to market for those services.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Weigel. Councillor Luana?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Elliot, can you help me understand, and it's about the Conklin and Fort Chippewa columbariums. The information we have says it was from 25 and prior years. So it talks about defunding it so there can be engagement with the community, but half the money has been spent, I assume, for Conklin. How do we get to a point where we're being asked to fund something, but the engagement hasn't happened yet? Or is this re-engagement because something changed?
Through the chair to the question, as I understand it, it's re-engagement with the community.
Okay. So typically, though, nothing would come forward for approval without that step being done, generally speaking?
Generally speaking.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Luana. Any other questions for administration? I'm not seeing any, so I have, sorry, Councillor Cardinal, I didn't see your light on. Go ahead, sir.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks for the presentation. I wanted to question the columbariums. I wanted to question the columbariums. What specific engagements would be the different than Conklin's in Fort Chippewa? Is getting requests from the community members to initiate this is why I brought some of this forward, specific to Fort Chippewa. So if there's is there besides Conklin and Anzac in rural, are those the only ones that have columbariums?
Through the chair to the question, I'm going to pass it to Director Smith to speak directly to columbariums within the region, so he'll be able to answer the question correctly.
Through the chair to Council Cardinal, absolutely. Conklin's is erected, so that's where that money went. That one's built and ready to go. Anzac Cemetery, in which we own as a columbarium, and all three cemeteries within the urban service area that we own have a columbarium. Now, the cemetery in Fort Chippewa, there's a little bit of work that needs to be done. We need to get the operating procedures in place, and we also need to get the fee structure completed. However, what we were deciding to do here is communicate and engage with the community to see if a columbarium is needed or wanted, or if there's some other type of structure that's desired. If a columbarium is to go forward, then we have to change the land use bylaw to allow the columbarium in Fort Chippewa. So what we want to do here is we wanted to see, first of all, if the community would desire this structure, and if before we went ahead with any type of land use zoning and or spending that additional money. So we will be going forward with engagement with the community regarding fees, regarding the operating structure of that cemetery, as well as the need for columbarium or something along those lines for ash interments.
Well, okay, I guess I won't dispute whether there or not there's going to be a majority collective around wanting columbariums, but if other rural communities are getting columbariums, and I got requests for columbariums in the community of Fort Chippewa, I just feel that the engagements will just have that same outcome, which would be, yes, we would like them, but I do know that you're going to need supporting documents, but I feel that we might still just get the same answer and then just create more work for the municipality, and maybe that could be something we do not do, or we want the numbers behind it, or the participation of more community members, because at some point the community is going to grow and grow more, and then eventually, the request will come back. So maybe just trying to get it before we have to have a request again.
Through the chair to the question, Councillor Cardinal, the money would be reserved for the Fort Chipewyan Cemetery. So it's not being canceled. We're just defunding it and taking the item off of the active project list and reserving the funds until that engagement can occur. So we would have the money there reserved for that initiative, and once the engagement happened, then we could proceed. It's a bit of a housekeeping issue, if you will. So if this is something that the community wanted, we would have the funding to proceed.
No, I think the point that I was trying to make is that not everybody's going to want the columbarium in Fort Chipewyan because of the traditions around the whole community. Some people want to bury their community members. Some people want them to have their ashes and store them at home. Some people want to have them put in a place where they're kept safe, and then numerous other community members can come and visit them. And I'm just trying to say is that do we need to do do we really need to do the engagement when we already know the answer?
I think around any project, Councillor Cardinal, engagement is very important. Councillor Luana?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I actually tend to agree with Councillor Cardinal. Like, is a columbarium not part of pretty much every cemetery, Keith?
Through the chair to Councillor Bustier, not necessarily. It can be. It's an add-on if you wish it to be. But the exact reasoning that Councillor Cardinal gave is what we've received anecdotally, that we don't want to go and build $100,000 plus structure if it's not going to be used. So what we wanted to do in this case was when we go and talk to the community regarding the fees and when we talk to the community regarding the operating procedures, again, just have that discussion, is this something that you want? And there's a multitude of different things that you could do. You could do a scatter garden, you can do larger urns. These ashes can be buried in plots. Again, it's just, we don't want to build a structure, go through all that process of spending all that money and including to do a land use bylaw zoning amendment if it's something that will never get used.
So to my original question.
Yes.
How did we get here? Like, and I realize this could be before you, Elliot, so I'm not, but my question was engagement done? And I was told yes, but you're suggesting it wasn't because there's a bunch of options, different options, scattergardens, whatever. So I'm trying to understand the process with respect to, some previous council obviously put money aside for this, and I'm not clear if you're re-engaging residents or engaging them.
Through the chair to Councillor Bustier, my understanding, and this cemetery has been probably before my time, there's a lot of history with this cemetery. Originally, the engagement could have been on location, and I do know over the years there was some issues with regards to migratory bird patterns that kind of slowed down the process of this cemetery. And also there was some water level issues with Alberta Health because it's close to the river. So this cemetery has been around, or the construction of this cemetery has been around 5, 10 plus years. Now, to the best of my knowledge, I don't know if the specifics, what will happen within the cemetery was ever engaged. Obviously, it's plot burials. I believe we have about 350 plots available once it opens up. But again, it's one of those things where, 5, 10 years ago, maybe it was just standard to throw columbariums in. But at this point in time, like I said, anecdotally, and Councillor Cardinal was correct, is that we were told that maybe it may not get used. So before we would spend that $107,000 that's remaining, and it could quite possibly be more, we just wanted to see if this is something the community would use. It's kind of, it might have been engaged, but it was 5+ years ago. It's just to get a better temperature on what's happening now.
So how long ago, do you know, Elliot? It doesn't seem clear to me. Were they in, like?
Through through the chair to the question, this was before my time.
Yeah.
Sounds like before Director Smith's time, yeah.
Okay. I tend to agree with Councillor Cardinal unless we've heard otherwise from Indigenous leadership in Fort Chipewyan that they would like this halted. I think we need to make a decision and proceed.
Thanks, Councillor Luana. I think good idea there, Councillor Luana, actually, if we possibly a quick engagement, we just be Indigenous leadership, and if the three nations there all agree, then we would then bring it back on. But right now, the money is still there, so it wouldn't slow the project down. Councillor Scott?
I still have some comments there.
Right after Councillor Scott.
I can just briefly speak to the history. There was a demand for columbariums during the period that I was mayor. If you tried to pin the date on me, I'd have a hard time exactly identifying that, but and that was in the community itself and the leadership during that period.
Okay, perfect. So with that confirmation, Luana, I think that I would agree with you and Councillor Cardinal as well. Councillor Cardinal?
I just wanted to say to Public Works, Keith Smith there, if we had 3 or 4 community members wanting a safe place for their urns to be put, and you know, if they're if the urn holders were to pass on, and you know how, you know, it sometimes it becomes you know, they get misplaced or it's spilt, or you know what I mean. I think this is the reasoning why some of the requests come to me as in the last term, and why I'd asked to bring it forward with supporting what was going on already in Conklin. And if 50 people say no, we don't want columbariums, but 3 or 4 people do we go with the 50 people, or and forget about the people? And then that's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm having people that's the reason why I brought this forward, brought this, and I'm questioning this, is because I've had requests about it. So what happens to those 4 or 5 people? We just forget about them and say to hell with them? I'm just curious.
No, Councillor Cardinal, I think as Councillor Scott, who was the previous mayor, indicated that he did receive requests for it, and you have received requests for it, and Councillor Luana is backing, and no one's really arguing with you. So I think, yeah, I would be open to keeping that in the books and just go ahead. But I would like to get administration, or even my office, to contact the Fort Chipewyan Métis Nation, ACFN and MCFN, and confirm the leadership, and then go forward with the project if they are amenable to that.
Okay. Yeah, that's the thing. And then so when you get the nations as well, I'm just wondering, like, the rural residents as well. It's the hamlet, people of the hamlet also, and the nations. So that's why I'm saying, like, so if you go back to the nations, and then you got to go back to the hamlet residents, which are municipal residents. That's why I'm saying I really appreciate the backup supporting comments from Don and Luana, because I just feel that we're creating more work for ourselves.
If you want to put a motion together and we get to motions, you can do that.
I'd just like to move on with the same things that Conklin had, and if I can have administration draft a motion to where we just move with the columbariums and do not do any more engagement on it because of the requests already specified for the columbariums.
I would still like to do a little engagement to make sure we're not infringing on anyone, but you're welcome to put the motion on when we get to motions.
Yeah, I understand. It's also a municipal asset at the cemetery, so adding that I think would be great.
Yeah, and we
great
can,
too, so.
we can go into a debate and everything once you have motion on the floor, when we get to motions as well.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for administration? I'm not seeing any, and I think we need to go to an in-camera at this time. Can I have someone make that motion? Thank you, Councillor, or sorry, yes, Councillor Scott. Just by a show of hands, we haven't got that on the computer. So in favor? A procurement issue. Thank you, Councillor Cardinal, Councillor Allen, and Councillor Marcel. Thanks for a second, Councillor Van Castian. We'll just go into the back room here, and the people online, Councillor Cardinal, Councillor Marcel, and Councillor Allen, administration will send you a link for that in camera.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome back, everyone. Can I have someone make a motion to go from in-camera back into public? It should show up on your screen. Can I have someone make that motion? Press your button. Oh. Councilor Vardy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council reconvene in public.
Thank you. It's for the second, Councilor Van Castian. We'll call for a vote. In favor online, Councilor Allen, Councilor Marcel, Councilor Kendrick, thank you. And that's carried with 10 in favor. Thank you, everyone. Moving on, Councilor Marcel, you have a motion to put on the floor? Oh, you're on mute, Councilor Marcel.
They're having technical difficulties. Give me a second. I'll give Councillor Marcel a hand. Thank you.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Councilor Marcel.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Because I'd like to make a motion, please. I, Greg Marcel, move that the Fort Chippewa sidewalk to Doghead project in the amount of $872,000 be removed from the projects recommended for cancellation as summarized on the 2026 capital prioritization summary dated February 4th, 2026.
Thank you, Councilor Marcel. Thanks, Councilor Marcel, and thanks for the second, Councilor Van Castian. Councilor Marcel, would you like to speak to that motion?
Okay, I guess I should give a little history on that sidewalk. The sidewalk was installed probably in and around 1985. It was installed when it happened. It got installed before the amalgamation of the municipality, so it was installed with ID 18 getting it done. And when they first installed the sidewalk, it wasn't really up to standards, I guess I would say, because it was kind of level with the road itself and then joined with the road and extended this out a little bit for the people to walk on. And that was what we used till probably 2012, I think, was when we repaved the road in Fort Chip and the sidewalk got covered up completely. So we haven't had a sidewalk to Doghead since 2012. And I think in 2019 was when it came back at the table for for the Regional Municipality Council request to get the sidewalk put back in. And I'm not sure what the delay was between now and then. I didn't know if it was consultation or if it was not looking at the project, but it's kind of been stalemated since 2019. And I heard a little bit about it when I was on the campaign trail. People were looking forward to the sidewalk, but I would never really knew the reason why it was put on hold. And I guess when it came to the table earlier on this year that it was going to be canceled, that's why I was kind of surprised. So I did a little bit of background check and talking to some leadership and some members that use that trail quite a bit, and they were still all in favor of having the sidewalk put in. So that's why I'm bringing this motion to the table again.
Thanks, Councilor Marcel. And for confirmation, that is on municipal land, Councilor Marcel?
Yes, it is. I think there might be. I think if we're going to extend it, there might be a little extra work that's got to might be put on someone else's property, might be along the reserve line on one part of it, and the other one might be with the church.
Okay, I would think that we want to make sure it's on municipal if we're going to make any infrastructure changes. I'm in support of the motion on municipal land. The only thing, my question to administration is, I don't know who can answer this, but how do we get, I'm in support completely. How do we get concrete to Fort Chipewyan to build a sidewalk?
Through the chair to the question, I don't want to necessarily be stuck on a sidewalk or a concrete sidewalk. I would like to have the flexibility to look at whatever treatment is most reasonable.
Okay, perfect.
But concrete does get used in the community.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Director Waite. Councillor Scott?
Thanks for that, Mayor. I just want to reinforce what Councillor Marcel just said. There's a strong demand for that sidewalk. I've heard it myself many times when I've been in Fort Chipewyan, so I would encourage everyone to support this motion. It's important for the community, and we have a responsibility to support all the communities, and he's exactly right on this.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Vardy?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Just looking for some clarification. So reading the brief, it's saying that it was paused due to a culturally sensitive area, potentially unmarked graves. So what is IRR or public engagement doing, just to make sure that when this project goes forward, we're being respectful of the community and the space?
Through the chair to the question, I have actually spoken with Director Fraser on this, and he has been having a lot of discussions with leadership in the community, and there is a task force that is also involved, and that's part of the reason why the language of ongoing consultation was identified. I know that Director Fraser is there right now today, and he plans on continuing these conversations with leadership.
Thanks, Councillor Vardy. Councillor Brandt?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I remember when this was first brought to us, and it was explained that because of ground penetrating radar and the possibility of unmarked graves, that it was halted. I'm just wondering what the engagement was that has changed. Because I asked those questions when we were having that meeting, and that was my understanding, because I didn't understand why this was being canceled to begin with, and that's what was explained to me, was that because of, well, exactly what you said here, cultural sensitivity. Has a different report been released? Has something changed that it's no longer affecting that area? Because this now says like a highway or a road widening as opposed to the sidewalk. And I believe when I discussed this with Councillor Marcel, he said it was actually on the other side was the issue. So just wondering what changed.
Through the chair to the question, and we do have a representation here from IRR. He may be able to add to this, but my understanding is there's differing opinions between leadership and the task force and members of the community, and those discussions need to be fleshed out. I'm not clear on all the details. I just know what's been brought forward. Dennis, do you have anything to add on this particular subject? Has there been any additional information brought forward?
Through the chair to the question, I haven't been engaged in any further dialogue. I know that Director Fraser has been having follow-up conversation and meetings, but I'm not aware of the outcomes of more recent discussions with it.
Yeah, it was Director Fraser that informed us of this originally. So, I mean, I'll support it because we're being told that that's what's wanted, but we were told something different before. That's what I'm trying to find out, where the miscommunication was, or if it even was a miscommunication, if new information has been brought to light. So, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brandt. Councillor Cardinal? Councillor Cardinal, are you still with us?
Hello.
Yeah, Councillor Cardinal? You had a question?
Oh, hey, sorry. Oh, I do. Actually, no. I'll wait for debate.
This is debate, Councillor Cardinal.
Okay, I kind of figured it was, sorry. I was, I don't know what it is. Maybe we have to have a little better, internet at the municipal building here in Fort Chipewyan, but, I think that one of the things was that the miscommunication between leadership and the task force, and not providing awareness to leadership about about their recommendations. But I did want to clarify that the where the sidewalks are, in my position previously as president of Fort Chip Métis Nation, when the cadaver dogs went and did their thing, there was no findings where the sidewalks were. So the sidewalk existed there before, and so did the road. And according to my previous information shared with me from the task force or municipality, there was no findings of in this area where they want to build the sidewalk. And I guess also the sidewalks were all done before and throughout the whole community, and this was left out. And another point of clarity I did want to mention was that there's absolutely no place that the sidewalk is going to be on reserve land. This is all municipal land that we're speaking about, and I will be supporting the motion.
Thanks, Councilor Cardinal. Councilor Allen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a point of clarification from administration. Lori, what's the impact if we put this, I guess just remove this from this report? It's not really significant because as you explained earlier, that we are going to, that money still goes back into a fund that is reserved for this purpose?
Through the chair to the question. The funding was identified for cancellation, so the $872,000 would have gone back into the capital infrastructure reserve. So with this motion, the money going back into the reserve would be reduced to under $5 million, 5.9 million.
5.9. Yeah, so I guess so that if we complete the consultation and decide it is the correct way to go, it just requires a new motion to be brought forward or a new report to be brought forward to approve it again.
Through the chair to Councillor Allen, if the motion on the floor is to remove this from the cancellation, so that would continue to have the funds available for this initiative. So no further motion would be required should this be approved.
No, but I mean, if we were to remove it from, like leave it there and have it canceled, then it requires a whole new report. And I guess my concern is that if maybe it just takes it out of sight of mind if we do remove it. You know, if we had even a commitment to have the consultations completed by a certain time frame, but I know how difficult that is too. So right. I think my preference is that this is important to the community, then I'm prepared to support the motion. Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Allen. Councillor Brandt?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, that's where I'm having this disconnect. It's unfortunate that Director Fraser isn't here because that was
Director Fraser is online. He can speak to it as well.
Perfect. I hope he can, because the inquiry I had was about that exactly, was if this was already there, why can't we just build upon it? If I recall, Director Fraser explained that the sidewalks were built prior to the Truth and Reconciliation protocols, and that's why they didn't want to do it now, because local knowledge keepers informed him that that is where the potential burials were, and then cadaver dogs and ground penetrating radar were used, and that's why this project was halted. So if he is online, if he could speak to that more now so that we can understand the reasoning behind it being removed, and now we're hearing from our fellow councillors up in Fort Chip that this might not be the case.
Thanks, Councillor Brandt. Director Fraser, would you like to speak to that? Are you possibly on mute, Director Fraser?
Mayor Bowman, Director Fraser's in the meeting with the task force as we speak. He's unable to respond online.
And is that the task force that we're referring to?
Yes.
Because I think we would like to hear from him before we proceed with what his findings are from that task force.
If I may add to Councillor Brandt's inquiry, what you summarized with your discussion with Director Fraser is the conversation I had with him when this particular subject came up last week. So he did indicate that he was going to be speaking with the task force, and at the end of the day, he felt very strongly that it was up to the leadership in Fort Chipewyan that collectively needed to identify a path forward, which is why he wanted he did not want this to be defunded and to reserve the funds so that they could have it available to address this in the future.
Yeah, I think that's probably where we're at. And supporting Councillor Marcel's motion will, of course, rely on the findings of that task force. So I think I'm in full support of this, and I'll go to my fellow councillors and we can vote. Councillor Vardy?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Councillor Marcel, just asking for a friendly amendment. If adding to your motion that prior to any work be started, that we receive a report of recommendations by the task force. That
Yes,
would give me some peace of mind.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think that'll be the better route to go anyway, just to make sure that we don't offend anybody, or, you know, it's a lot better to have that than to kind of go ahead with it right now. But I also like to maybe make another amendment that if it does go through, I'd like to have it at least started and completed, hopefully by the end of 2027, if we could. I mean, we've been waiting for the sidewalk now since 2012, I guess. So it's been a few years now. So, and I think it's a need with the amount of traffic that goes in and that goes through there, and especially at night, there's a lot of dark areas and people walking, and it could be a potential for a fatality or a bad accident there.
Thanks, Councillor Marcel. I'll ask Director White if that is a date that could work. I don't want to throw a date out there and then us not be able to get to that date for you.
Through the chair to the question, I'll provide a little bit of background on the delivery of the project. When you look at a project or an initiative like this, you first start with the technical feasibility of doing so. So the first step in this project would be to do a feasibility study to figure out technically can we put it in. As we heard already, there potentially could be land issues as well. And then in addition to that, once you finish that feasibility to determine whether you can move forward with it, then you have to do a design. After design is your tender. So in order to have it completed by the end of 2027, that would mean a design would be needed by the end of the year to be able to tender in time. We also know about winter roads and everything else. I would say that the end of 2027 is too short of a time period. I think there's going to be lots of conversations over the next short while here related to this project. And once that happens, once we make that decision, feasibilities can start and move forward. So I would suggest 2028 is more feasible than anything.
Okay, so if we had the end 28, but then could we also request from your team just to get an update when the feasibility study is completed, an update when the design's completed, so we know how the project's moving forward? So Councillor Marcel and Councillor Cardinal can bring that to their community?
To the mayor, absolutely, we'll include that as part of our reporting to council.
Perfect, thank you. Are you okay with that, Councillor Marcel? Thank you.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Brandt?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, two things. So again, I bring this stuff up because of accountability and transparency. We've heard one thing, we're kind of hearing something different. I just trying to understand it clearly. And Councillor Marcel, you said it's dark in areas. Is this sidewalk including full lighting for the entire path? Is that the idea?
That will be through ACCO,
Well-
Councillor Brandt, and I'm meeting with them next week as Councillor Marcel has talked to me about it.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Scott?
Sorry, I'll just bring a friendly amendment that the sidewalk be completed as a target by the end of 2028. As long as Councillor Marcel accepts that.
Yeah, I'll be good with that. Yes, that'll be perfect. I mean, like I said, we've been waiting now since 2012, so
Let's get
it
it
gets done
done.
by 2028. That'll be nice.
Thank you, Councillor Marcel.
That'll be acceptable, yeah.
Super, thank you. I'll call for a vote. Councillor Cardinal in favor, Councillor Marcel in favor, Councillor Allen in favor. Thank you. And that's carried unanimously. Councillor Cardinal, you have a motion?
I, Councillor Cardinal, would like the columbariums to be not defunded and added to this budget, and we move forward as intended. Thank you. Sorry, I guess I should have added Fort Chippewa in there. Just for clarity, I do believe Councillor Director Fraser is back online. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal, and thanks, Councillor Van Casten, for the second. Does Council have any questions or debate points regarding this motion? Councillor Vardy?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I guess I'm just a little confused. So if we pull this from defunded, we still have the intention of completing our engagement, and now we have more public engagement people to get that done. We also then have to make an amendment to our land use bylaw. So my understanding of defunding projects just means that we're not going to be able to complete it this year, so we want to balance our books, but there is still an intent to finish this project in future years. Is that my understanding?
Through the chair to Councillor Vardy, with the motion that's on the floor, this particular item is going to be removed from the prioritization list, so it would just carry on as it was prior to the budget proceedings.
And what we're looking at right now is to bring it back for, is recommended for defunding. I'm sorry, I want to make sure that I'm understanding it completely. We're putting this back on the books, or we're defunding it?
We're putting it back on the books. We're not defunding it.
Okay.
And then there's going to be additional work and then a report to be brought back to council on an update. That's what I understood.
I understand it now, but is that not the intent of when we defund it, that we would still do work on it? Because that's my understanding from reading the briefing note.
Through the chair to the question, that is correct. If it was to remain on the list and we were not removing it, we would have defunded it, but then we would have reserved the funding for down the road. So in this case, with the motion on the floor, we're basically taking it off of the defunding list and carrying on.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Councillor Vardy. Any other questions from council? Councillor Allen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Laura, I guess another question, or actually, I guess this would probably be for Councillor Cardinal. Are we, by doing this motion, is that including Conklin as well? Because they were both included on that list. Or was the money spent to date already done for Conklin?
Through the chair to Councillor Allen, if I may, the columbarium in Conklin is built. That's where the 93,000 was spent from the original 200.
Great, thank you. So, yeah, all we're doing is putting Fort Chippewa back in the books then.
Thanks, Councillor Allen. And I'll call for a vote.
Mayor.
Oh, go ahead, Councillor Cardinal.
I maybe it's just for some information purposes. How many slots of columbarium are done in Conklin? If I can get Keith to answer that, please.
Councillor Marcel, were you in favor there? I got Councillor Allen's. Thank you, Councillor Marcel. You know, Keith?
Through the chair to Councillor Cardinal, the columbarium in Conklin has 30, columbarium in Anzac as 13.
And thank you. But I did want to say I am also confused because this motion's my intention was to put it back on the books, and I might have not worded it right. Can I have Jade please indicate in review if I did word it right? Because I would like the columbariums in Fort Chippewa to move forward, and if I didn't,
yeah, that's your motion, Councillor Cardinal. That's correct.
What is that? My motion?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, that's
yeah. You're moving it from the defunding list. Yeah, that's correct. And are you in favor? I know you are. It's your motion, but thanks. And that's carried unanimously. Is there any other motions regarding this? Not seeing any. Can I have some make the motion for the just capital project prioritization exercise? It's on page 6. Councillor Allen?
Thank you. Do I have my mic on? All right. I will move that the project cancellations, project transfer to the land acquisition reserve, and project defunding as summarized in 2026 capital prioritization. Sorry, this keeps changing on my screen here. That the updates provided on select projects as outlined in additional information for capital prioritization exercise dated February 4th, 2026 be accepted as information.
Just that there's one before that, Councillor Allen. The top of your page 6.
I see where it changed now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now I'll move that one. That the project cancellations, project transfer to the land acquisition reserve, and project defunding is summarized on the 2026 capital prioritization summary dated February 4th, 26. Amendment 1 or attachment 1 as amended be approved.
Thanks, Councillor Allen. Thanks for a second, Councillor Vardy. Councillor Vane, discussions of 8 points or comments? I'm not seeing any. I'll call for a vote. Councillor Cardinal in favor, Councillor Allen in favor, Councillor Marcel in favor. Thank you. That's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Can someone make the second motion? Councilor Van Castian.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the updates provided on the select projects as outlined in additional information for capital projects prioritization exercise dated February 4th, 2026, attachment 2, be accepted as information.
Thank Councilor Van Castian. And thank you, Councilor Brandt, for the second. Any comments, questions, or debate points? Not seeing any, I'll call for a vote. Councilor Cardinal in favor. Councilor Marcel in favor. Councilor Allen in favor. Thank you. That's carried unanimously. And just to throw a curveball, I have a motion.
What a blessing today. Yep. Nice.
Okay, as I have a motion, I'm going to just switch chairs with Councillor Vardy and let her take the chair as Councillor Cardinal's deputy mayor, but he's online.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Do you have a motion?
Thanks, Councillor Vardy. My motion reads that $15,000 be added to the project delivery and facility services, the 2026 capital budget for the installation of a new Bolt live event production system at the Center Fire Arena.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Would you like to speak to your motion? Oh, can we have a seconder? Sorry. Oh, Councillor Scott, second the motion. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Vardy. Just to speak to the motion, the score clock at the Center Fire Place was replaced, I believe, 4 or 5 years ago. It was brand new clock put in the center ice, which is like a jumbotron. The system used to operate that was originally purchased in 2010. And so it's a computer, the Bolt system, which is now it's irreparable at this time. And as everyone knows, you buy a cell phone 3 years later, it's garbage. That's the way technology works. So the fact that they've used this computer for 16 years and hasn't crashed is beyond amazing to me. And as the Center Fireplace is a municipal asset, my motion is that this will be part of the capital budget, but it will be a municipal asset, the computer. We're not giving it to anybody. It'll be a municipal asset which will remain with the building, that we own a facility that we have an operator operating, but it'll be a municipal asset. And this is just a recent, something that came up recently, so it wasn't in their budget application. So they could pay for it now, and it's going to be in their budget next year. They're going to pay for it. I just thought it would be proactive to actually purchase this at this time and be a municipal asset. Thanks, Councillor Vardy.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Do we have any questions, comments, or debate points for the motion? Thank you. Seeing none in person or online, I will call for a vote. Councillor Allen online. Thank you. Councillor Cardinal. Thank you. Councillor Marcel. In favor. Thank you. Oh, apologies. Everyone is going to have to vote via show of hands, please. So everyone in favor? In favor online? Thank you very much. Any opposed? Thank you. That is passed with 1 opposed.
Thanks, everyone. And wow, would you have any other motions that need to be served? Councillor Cardinal, do you have a motion for the addition of funds to the 6-bay garage?
I was not sent anything.
Okay, let's take a 2-minute break here to put a motion
Oh,
together.
here it is.
Okay,
Sorry.
here it is. There we go.
I, Councillor Kendra Cardinal, move that the 226. Oh, sorry. I, Councillor Cardinal, move that the 2026 capital budget be amended to add $3 million for the Fort Chipewyan 6-bay garage and animal control facility.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal. And
I'd like to say
Councillor.
thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Luana, for the second. Do we have any comments, questions, debate points? I'm not seeing any, but I just want to say I definitely support this motion to get this project up and rolling and hopefully get some equipment on that winter road as soon as possible. Go ahead, Kendrick.
Oh, sorry. No, I appreciate the comments, and I want to say thanks to Jade and her team for providing me the motion online. We all have had discussions throughout council. Every term we have issues with animal control. A lot of great support from the SPCA, and also having a new bylaw position approved by council, as well as a new bylaw truck with the cages. And big thank you to Aaron Anderson and the team at bylaw for coordinating with the community and addressing council's concerns and the community concerns. Very, very much appreciated, and I want to say thank you to the community and our organization for putting this all together and collaborating.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal.
Thanks.
I'll call for a vote. In favor online? Councillor Cardinal in favor, Councillor Allen in favor, Councillor Marcel in favor. Thank you. And that's carried unanimously. I did not know we were going to get to this part of the budget, so this is awesome. Thanks, everyone. We're going to now take a 1-hour recess so administration can incorporate all the changes made over the last 1,000 hours of council and made during this budget process. So we will resume in 1 hour's time. And we'll see you in
Mayor,
1
I got a
hour.
quick question. Mayor, I just want to ask administration before we break about the budget. Is the proceedings, the new information they're going to share with us in an hour, is it going to have the additional stuff that we added to the budget? And okay,
That's exactly what the hour break's for, Councillor Cardinal, to calculate those into it.
So it would be before, after, and moving forward.
It'll be all the changes that were made since last Tuesday will be incorporated into the final numbers they'll present to us in an hour.
Right on. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, see everyone in an hour. Welcome back, everyone. We're going back to all the changes that have made over the last 5 days. We have 8 motions that need to be done. So I'd like to invite Laura Farquharson, the Chief Financial Officer, to provide an overview of 2026 budget and 2027, 2028 financial plan. Whenever you're ready, Director Farquharson.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to take the opportunity to thank Council for their time over the past 5 days of deliberation. This has been a great process, and I'm looking forward to the year to come. For the total budget for 2026, we have $661,180,462. This is comprised of an operating budget of $518,640,838 and a capital budget of $134,409,480.
Thanks, Director Farquharson. Does Council have any questions before we go into motions? Not seeing any. The first motion, you have someone read the first motion? Councillor Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the 2026 operating budget in the amount of $634,266,083, representing $491,726,459 for municipal operations, excluding the Indigenous and Rural Relations Department and the Community Impact Grant for the Charred Métis for their elder transport program, and that $142,539,624 as a funding transfer for reserves and capital purposes be approved.
Thanks for the motion, Councillor Weigel, and thanks for the second, Councillor Van Castian. Council, have any questions? Councillor Cardinal?
Just curious, we're bringing a different motion, obviously, for Indigenous Rural Relations, because we're excluding it on this one?
Yes, there's 8 different motions.
Oh, perfect, thanks.
I'll call for a vote. In favor online? It's Councillor Allen, Councillor Marcel, and Councillor Cardinal in favor. Thank you. And that's carried unanimously with 10 in favor. And Councillor Vardy?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Due to a potential conflict of interest, I'd like to remove myself for number 2 and number 3, please.
Thank you, Councillor Vardy. Can I have someone make the second motion, please? Councillor Van Castian.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I move that the 2026 operating budget be amended to add $26,834,379 to the Indigenous and Rural Relations budget.
And thank you for the second, Councillor Weigel. Anyone have any questions regarding the motion? Not seeing any, I'll call for a vote and vote online. In favor? Councillor Allen, Councillor Cardinal, Councillor Marcel in favor. Thank you. And that's carried unanimously with 9 in favor. Can I have someone make the motion for number 3? Councillor Van Castian.
I move that the 2026 operating budget be amended to add $80,000 for the Community Impact Grant for Chard Métis for their elder transport program.
Thank you, Councillor Van Castian. Thanks for the second, Councillor Weigel. Any questions? Not seeing any, I'll call for a vote. In favor online? Councillor Allen, Councillor Marcel, and Councillor Cardinal in favor. Thank you. And that's carried with 8 in favor. Can I have someone ask, there she is, Councillor Vardy to rejoin us. Can I have someone read motion number 4? Councillor Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the 2027 to 2028 financial plan in the amount of $681,015,876 and $701,446,353, respectively, with their funding transfers for reserves and capital purposes of $146,815,816 and $151,220,287 be used as the basis for the development of the respective subsequent budgets.
Thanks, Councillor Weigel. Thanks for the second, Councillor Brandt. Council have any questions on the motion? I'll call for a vote. In favor online? Councillor Cardinal in favor, Councillor Allen in favor, Councillor Marcel in favor. Thank you. That's carried unanimously. I can have someone read motion number 5, Councillor Boussier.
That the 2026 capital budget in the amount of $129,654,480, excluding Public Works 2026 Light Equipment Addition, Public Works 2026 Light Equipment Replacement, Regional Emergency Services 2026 Light Fleet Replacement, and the design of a community space for the community of Janvier be approved, and that the 2026 Public Art Reserve in the amount of $44,830 be approved.
Thank you, Councillor Boussier. And thanks for the second, Councillor Brandt. Any questions of council? I'll call for a vote. In favor online? Councillor Cardinal, Councillor Marcel, Councillor Allen in favor. Thank you. And that's carried unanimously. Councillor Allen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this point, I will need to recuse myself for the next item as I have a pecuniary interest. And if I could request if the CLO could send me a quick message when you're through this point.
Thank you. Councillor Brandt, can I have you make the motion for number 6?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That the 2026 capital budget be amended to add $640,000 for Public Works 2026 Light Equipment Additions, $1,900,000 for Public Works 2026 Light Equipment Replacements, and $215,000 for Regional Emergency Services 2026 Light Fleet Replacement.
Thanks for the motion, Councillor Brandt. Thanks for the second, Councillor Van Castian. Any questions? I'll call for a vote. In favor online? Councillor Marcel in favor, Councillor Cardinal in favor. Thank you. That's carried unanimously with 9 in favor. I'll just wait till Councillor Allen returns. Councillor Vardy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For number 7, I'd like to excuse myself due to a potential conflict of interest.
Thank you, Councillor Vardy. Councillor Van Castian, could you read motion number 7?
I move that the 2026 capital budget be amended to add $2 million for the design of a community space for the community of Janvier.
Thank you, Councillor Van Castian. Thank you for the second, Councillor Weigel. Any questions? I'll call for a vote. In favor online, Councillor Cardinal, Councillor Marcel, and Councillor Allen in favor. Thank you. Welcome back, Councillor Vardy. Extremely. And that's carried with 9 in favor. Thank you. And motion number 8. Councillor Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the 2027 to 2031 and thereafter capital plan in the amount of $260,360,169 be approved.
Thank you, Councillor Weigel. And thanks for the second, Councillor Brandt. Do you have any questions of council? Not seeing, I'll call for a vote. In favor online. Councillor Allen, Councillor Marcel, Councillor Cardinal in favor. Thank you. And that's carried unanimously. There we go. There was a point last week I didn't think we were going to get here. So I just want to first thank all the staff, all the administration, all the directors for all the work they put in the last few months getting this ready. And I want to thank my council colleagues for the extreme diligence and prudence they put in the last 5 days, not excluding the hours and hours that went into pre-preparation for this year's budget. This shows the community. We have a council that really cares about the community, cares about being fiscally responsible, and wants to do the best they can do. So I want to show appreciation to everybody that put that forward this past week. This was the longest council deliberations in the last 5 years I've been part of, but I believe it was the best council deliberations we've done on a budget since I've been here. So I want to thank everyone so much for all the work they put in. So that concludes the 2026 budget deliberations and approvals. Marcy Cho, Kinwis-Compton, thank you everyone, and enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you back here at 5 p.m. tomorrow.